All right, so we've just turned up to the park. We've got some interesting things to work with today, so we'll see how we go. I can see one off-leash dog. I can see a guy with a drone. We'll see how that goes. And one of those uni skateboard things, if you know what they're called. It's a skateboard motorized with one wheel. If you know what that is, can you put that in the comments below? I just don't like sounding like an old fuddy-duddy. But the drone and such is going to be pretty interesting. That's going to be a really complex distraction. I think that Cookie is not going to like it very much. I think that Ivy will be a little bit scared of it. I think that Sid will probably be the most stout. And opposite to us, we've got the dog park. So it's going to be quite a testing early session for the class. We shall see how we go. We might need to move, we might not. But if you've got a plan, you can roll with the punches. So that's what we're going to do today. I'll add some video in and let's see what happens. All right, I'm pretty stoked with what Sid was able to do in this particular session. He's worked through some pretty serious distractions. We've got a skate park across the road. The road is quite busy. We've got a drone and the uni skateboard motorized thingo that's off in the park to the left of the screen. So there's plenty of things going on, and the dog park behind us. All right, so lots of temptations. But what I really want for you to get out of this particular clip is the concept of loops. So we send him to his place. That's our beginning and end point. I'm going to back away, get him into a front position. He'll sit, that'll get me to do the TAM. The reward event will spin him back around, pointing towards his final destination. Then we'll send him away onto his place, and I will give him the support that he needs to. Right? This was a little bit more difficult than I expected for him, but he was suffering from those temptations. We worked through it through the session. We managed to make a good progression, but you know, it is what it is. So again, the loop itself, I really think of it as a loop, as a lap or a circle, whatever it is. Your start and stop point are the same. I'm the halfway point, so he's going to come over to me. The reward event spins him and back around to the end point, and then we can start the next repetition, and that makes a session as seamless as possible. We've got sweet little lively Ivy, and she's being introduced to the heel position. And this is actually a really good example of breaking the first step down into smaller steps. Ivy's quite sensitive to social pressure. So when I get her on place and I walk away, she's decided that, hey, I'm just going to hunker down here, not a problem. And I'm going to wait for you to make it super obvious to me that you want me to come over. And then I can't come over in a straight line. I have to take an arcing approach because I'm just so nervous about this. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to make it as easy for her as possible to be successful. I'm not asking her to sit next to me at this stage. I just want her to come at me in as straight a line as possible. This is much better. And just to be comfortable being right next to me. So she's, as my daughters would say, she's popping my bubble, and that's what's important because her bubble is quite big, and we got to get her to be able to suck the air out of that bubble so that she feels more confident with independent function. So I'm changing the angle up for her. Changing the picture is important. I can't just always do the same thing, otherwise our dogs can mistakenly learn. It's only that one context where everything works. So you can see she's still taking a bit of an arc towards me. She's not taking a straight line. A straight line indicates confidence and comfort, and that's important for being able to channel maximum enthusiasm into the behavior. Right, this was a fun little way to end Cookie's session. This is our liberty phase, and so she's not under any command as such. She's simply walking with me. We're enjoying the park. The park itself has a pathway which meanders around and has some gardens on either side of the pathway, so that makes it a really nice construct just to teach her to walk with me. Yeah, this is not a heel, this is a simple walk with me. Now, coming up from the background is going to be old mate in his mono skate electric powered thingy-bob. If you know what it is, just let me know. But he's being dramatically chased by a drone, and I expected Cookie to be far more defensive about the situation, like she was last week with the boar and the scooter. But instead, it seemed to me that she was more engaged in a prey mood, and you're going to see that as she comes around. I'm able to use the clicker to get her attention back to me. But here's old mate coming past, and there's the drone, and she's very, very interested in it. No problems about it. The clicker is able to manage the situation, desensitize her away from chasing that toy and being engaged with me. Perfect outcome. All right, guys, so let's just recap on that session. A huge amount of stuff going on. We had drones, we had the electric skateboard, we had kids, we had dogs, we had trains, we had skaties across the road, we had a busy road itself. There's loads and loads of things going on. And unless you have a really nice sterile environment, these are the things that you're going to come across as you're walking and training your student. And as you can see, with the different students, you just take a slightly different approach. So with Sid, for example, when the dog park was getting a bit hectic for him, you would notice that particularly on his return to place because he's looking at the dog park. So in that instance then, I would just grab the lead, and we've done a lot of work on leash communication, so I can just use the lead to help him back on place and allow him to lean on that crutch. That's what it's designed for. What we want to be careful of is that we don't stay on that crutch and we don't plateau to that low level of training. We want to get to the higher levels so that he can be more independent, because if a dog can be more independent, that means we can trust them, and if we can trust them, then we are able to get them to do more and have a better life. You could also see that with Lively Ivy. You could see how socially sensitive she is, and with her the goal is to have a straight line back to us for the recall as well as the heel, but turning my back on her and getting to come into the heel position forced her to take that arcing approach back. And that shows me, again, because she is socially sensitive, that's who she is. There's no dramas. But then I might just reduce that distance that she's got to go to so she can't take the big arc. Or I might take her to a quieter place where there aren't so many distractions, and I might just get down lower, which is what I did for the recall, for example, for the front. So she would come up to me, but I know so she's really slow, so I would get down nice and low. We'd end up with a bit of play. And through that, I can then get her to express more enthusiasm through the channel of the behavior itself. That's kind of the point. Whereas with Cookie, she just needed some management with the clicker, and that was really easy. So when we had the guys coming past with the electric skatey being chased by the drone, she's at liberty. She's not under any command. She's not ready for me to say heel or any of those sorts of things. So that's quite easy. I'll just use the clicker, and the clicker is so powerful that it changes her mood out of prey towards the drone or the skatey and into whatever it is that I want. And in this case, I'm just redirecting her excitement back towards me to get attention. And that's pretty much it. So I've got to be able to set up the tools in the first place before we get to training the skills in the second place. And just before I go, loops. We start at the beginning, and then as we go through that single repetition, we come back to the beginning, and that's our end point. So as far as our dogs are concerned, it's just a constant lap that they're doing. That allows us to get the most efficient start and stop out of our drills. That means that we can now get the most amount of repetitions within one particular session. And that's where it's all at, because that way we can keep enthusiasm high and we can start to squeeze out more effort from our students. Right, I'm going to bail now. There's too many dogs off lead that are around here. Surprise, surprise. So anyway, if you've got any questions, please do let me know. I'm happy to answer all of your questions. Just write them in the comments below this particular video. I can't wait to get back to you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.